Okay, well, wonderful. Super excited to have you guys on tonight. My name is Kelly Hoover, and I am going to be here with my two wonderful friends, Brandy and Danielle, and we are going to be sharing with you tonight a just an opportunity, specifically from the pharmaceutical rep standpoint. So everything that we talk about tonight, we're really going to share very specific points from a pharmaceutical rep and why the three of us have chosen to partner with LEMD. So if you have spent your career in pharma, or maybe you know someone who has this opportunity, it is going to sound very familiar, not at all foreign. And here is the one thing that I always think about when I'm looking at transitioning from pharmaceutical sales to LEMD and to what we do here is you're not starting over, you're not really abandoning your skill set. You're simply applying it in a different way. And so instead of working through maybe doctors' offices and going and educating doctors, you now get to share education either through working with brick and mortars, chiropractors, med spas, or you get to share it directly online, meeting people where they already are, which is exactly how I needed to receive this type of information as well. You're not being asked to come in and do something completely different or become like a social media personality overnight, but you're really taking an existing skill set that you already have, an expertise in the space of presenting products, presenting pain points and solutions to people, and you're leveraging those skill sets and what you're used to doing. Maybe it's something you're used to doing every single day, but we're just applying it to more of a modern, more flexible type of model. And that is truly what LEMD offers here. And that's exactly why the three of us decided to share our stories tonight and a little bit more about why pharmaceutical reps are really great at representing a product like the products that we have at LEMD. So we're going to dive in and we have some specific points that all three of us wanted to speak to. And so the very first point that I would like to share is that we already speak the language. As pharmaceutical reps, it is super simple. We speak this language. We have been trained to speak. We've been trained to speak in science. We've been trained to understand science. We're comfortable with like talking about clinical pathways and indications and mechanisms of action. And if you're not in that world, that probably sounds all super foreign to you, but it's evidence-based conversations. And that's what I love it. Compliance is not an issue for us, generally speaking, because it's the world that we have all lived in. And we are wired to know, talk about science proven things. So when you hear conversations or you hear pharmaceutical reps talk about very specific, maybe high science type of things around longevity, around peptides, it's really not a stretch because it is something that we have been trained to do in our jobs. And so while this opportunity at LEMD is not necessarily like a brand new thing, it is a new industry and we're truly applying it to the setting that we have. So, one thing I love about it so much is being able to speak that language. So, for example, when we're talking about LEMD being a telehealth concierge platform, we are connecting patients with a doctor network. We are basically the pharmaceutical rep that is presenting a pain point, presenting a solution, connecting you with an actual doctor. And that is why it makes so much sense for our very first point. Now, the second point I'm going to dive in and then I'm going to toss it over to my friend Brandy is professional credibility. Now, this is something that, regardless of whether people like it or not, it is credibility. It is once you have been in this industry and you have been presenting in the pharmaceutical space, people do trust you. They understand that you understand how products work and how they can help different types of patients, right? So if you are a pharmaceutical rep or you know someone and you're listening to this, you may not know anything about peptides, but I want to ensure that you're not starting from zero. You have all of that knowledge already, and you have that built-in professional authority that so many people can absolutely relate to. So Brandy and Danielle and I have spent years working with providers, whether it's doctors, whether it's specialists from endocrinologists to cardiologists to any type of specialist between the three of us, we have worked with. And that credibility goes a very, very long way. So when we're talking about the telehealth space and we're talking about like metabolic and peptides, we may not know all the science in the beginning around each of the peptides, but we understand how to learn it. And then once we learn it, being able to present it is an amazing and very, very, very easy transition. And so really the learning curve is dramatically reduced. And that is one of the things that I always love sharing why this is such a great opportunity for people who've been in the pharmaceutical space is because that learning curve is shortened. We already know the language, we've already had the credibility. And to be very fair, there's a lot less resistance. That barriers when you are talking to potential customers and helping them understand how peptides can work in their body, that barrier, that resistance is a lot less for people because of just the credibility that you have. So, those are the top 2 points that I wanted to bring up, and I wanted to toss it over to Brandy to share some of hers.
Yeah, so I think my situation's a little different than Kelly and Danielle because I actually worked pharma and did LEMD at the same time. So I joined in December of 24 and got displaced in June of 25 through a company reorg. So my goal was to get out of pharmaceutical sales. I was not happy. I loved parts of the job, like I loved educating, I loved helping. I did not like the manager ride-alongs. I didn't like the quotas that then when I met my quota, they were like, oh no, you didn't. There was a misunderstanding in the numbers. And so your bonus really wasn't this. And so those things over time, I worked with J&J, so a great company. But it just wasn't fulfilling my cup anymore. And so when I found peptides, I found LEMD. I saw the flexibility that it had. I saw that when I was driving 2 hours to get into my territory, because also you don't get to choose your territory. So I didn't even live in my territory when I worked with J&J. I had to drive 2 hours into my territory. That's not the case with Ellie, right? And so I was driving a lot. I was able to just pick up the phone and call friends and family and just people that I knew could benefit from peptides. So the flexibility to me to be able to do this side by side was so amazing. I am a big balance person, so I made sure that I didn't overdo it and I wasn't like consuming my life with it because I did have a full-time job and doing this. So I really couldn't reach my full potential. So the flexibility, not having the quotas and all the things with Ellie, I was able to do it when I wanted, how I wanted. The other big thing is I talked about the bonuses. You get capped. Like you get a salary. Yes, it's great. They call it the golden handcuffs for a reason. That's why I didn't leave before finding Ellie. But there are no earning caps here at Ellie. The sky is the limit, you guys, and I am doing that. As soon as I got laid off in June, I was able to pour everything into Ellie, and it has made a total difference in my paycheck and who I'm able to help and what I'm able to do. And so just know that Ellie is so similar in pharmaceutical sales, but it's so much better. I could go on and on and on all night. When I get on calls with people to talk to them, I have to like stop myself because I get so excited because I worked them both and I know what they both do. The resources we have at LA, you guys, at the push of a button off of your phone. Like when I'm sitting in an office waiting, I was able to send articles and podcasts and anything that my customers or brand partners or anybody wanted. And we have this amazing team that also offers that help. So I always tell people, I'm like, I talked to two pharma reps yesterday. They joined our team. Um, I think the beauty of it too is we meet you where you're at. I'm never going to tell somebody, I want you to do this 40 hours a week. Like, I want you to do it when you want to do it and what fills your cup. And I think what most people see is it really fills your cup, and you're like, I don't want to do pharma anymore. So getting displaced in June was the biggest blessing. I will never go back to corporate America. This company, our CEO, the vision, everything is just, it's amazing. So.
I love it. Thank you, Brandy. It's so true too. So many fantastic points. Danielle, I would love for you to share your favorite things and some of your points about pharmaceutical reps and LEMD.
Hi, everyone. I'm Danielle Lee. Hashtag it didn't crush me. You can see that on my screen right there. I actually came over to LEMD I had created my own healthcare consulting company because I had seen what the trends were in healthcare. And I'm going to talk about that in a minute. And I actually tried to recruit Kelly into doing work with me that I was doing on a consulting job. And she was like, "Did you know that we can do peptides through telehealth LEMD?" And my ears perked up. And I was like, long story long, that completely took over my life. And the consulting kind of went by the wayside. And here I am in the peptide world. So I just want to share with you that I bring about approximately 20 years of pharmaceutical sales and leadership experience kind of to the table. And so I'm really a self-proclaimed GLP-1 and peptide educator, educating people in metabolic health. And I try to tell people like the career gave me insight into the system and how the system works, but my life experience taught me why people feel so lost inside of it. And so again, hearing where pharmaceuticals matter, hearing where treatment matters, emergency medicine, all of that matters and we need it. But if we're going to be honest about things, the system's completely designed to react, not to prevent. And so it treats symptoms that once the body's already in the red. And so what's happening right now is we're seeing a massive shift in consumer behavior. Preventive medicine is in wellness, it's being redirected back to the individual, not to the institution and not to the insurance company, not to the hospital system, and not to this adorable little kitty who is trying to rub her face all over my computer screen all of a sudden. Um, so we're seeing that people are waking up and they're realizing something feels almost offensive about it when you say it out loud. Like, I'm paying hundreds of dollars, sometimes thousands of dollars a month into a medical system, and almost none of it that I'm paying for is actually doing anything to keep me healthy or pay for the things that I need to do that I want to do to keep me healthy. Nutritional support, that's not covered. Metabolic optimization, not covered. Body composition, longevity tools, none of it's covered, right? So people are voting with their dollars. And that's why concierge care, it's really on the rise. Self-directed wellness is exploding. Anti-aging, longevity, metabolic health, performance, they're not trends anymore. They are the future. We're in the future right now. People don't just want to live longer, they want to feel so much more alive. You want to get the most out of your day, the most out of your years. That's why LEMD is meeting the moment now. LEMD is built for wait. It's not built for people who are waiting until something is broken. LEMD is built for the person who's saying like, I want to stay ahead of this. I want to feel strong. I want more energy. I want my body working with me. I'm tired of my body working against me. And they have the solutions. We've got them right here. And so this is what I love because reps specifically understand that being early to a trend is so important rather than reacting to it. We've been taught that our entire lives in pharmaceutical manufacturing and marketing. You got to be the first one to market. And if somebody has exclusivity, we need to come right on the heels of that and change the game. Well, that's what LEMD has done because they're the complete antithesis of it. We are early. This is where healthcare is going. Secondly, I want to talk about how this mission, it just feels so much better because instead of we're selling a product, we're actually creating a transformation. So I want you to think about that, right? This is where it gets personal. You guys are tired. Reps get tired. We get tired of working. We get tired of saying the same thing, not because we're tired of the job that we're doing, but we're tired of selling into a system that feels like it's leaking from like every seam. And so pharma can be so frustrating when your job is to move something, when you have all of these obstacles and barriers in front of you, and you really can't see the transformation for the end user. But it's totally different with LEMD because you're not just selling, you're helping to teach people or to point them in a direction, aka the website that has all the educational information. You don't even have to do it. You're helping them create their new baseline. You're helping them create their confidence, their energy, rebuild their health. And it hits totally different than when you're in the office hoping for those 30 to 60 seconds, dropping off the coffees, getting the sheets signed for your lunch and learns. And truly, I believe in prevention over prescription. Unless, of course, that prescription is for peptides. And we know peptides need prescriptions, and that's where LEMD comes into play because they are top in quality and they've done the research and they have the systems in place. And so what makes it even more powerful because you get to speak to the consumer directly and you know how they feel, you hear the follow-up. It's not just a wall between you and the end user. You get that full circle feeling and to see the difference that you're making. You feel it, you see it, you hear the outcome. And to me, like that's just what makes this so much more of just a company. It's your future career. It's the future of wellness, but you can take your own wellness into your own control while building a career. And for a new type of career for the people around you, and you get to see it full circle. So, in my opinion, like LEMD is it. And so, for the reps who are ready to be early, not late, and they're ready to build something that actually feels good again, like LEMD is where it's at. Like, this is it.
I love it. And just to close, we are going to have a little Q&A after we'll turn the recording off and have a little Q&A. But I just want to say this really is not these reasons that we have shared. It's not necessarily, you heard Brandy doing it, side by side. It's not necessarily about leaving pharma, and it's really truly about you expanding like your horizon, your expertise. I know one of the biggest benefits that I have personally loved is I wanted to have more flexibility. I wanted to be able to scale. I wanted to have alignment. Most of us go into pharma because we want to serve and we want to help people. We want to really be part of the greater good. However, when you are dictated on, how far you have to drive and where you have to go into and what you have to say and what you have to wear and all of these things, all of a sudden this great, glorious golden handcuff job that pays well doesn't feel so good anymore. And through a lot of the changes that we have had in the sick care system that we live in, it has really transitioned some of those things. So we're super excited to be able to just share our perspectives on things. And just to kind of reiterate, we're talking about like the transition and for people to really expand their horizons. If you are a pharmaceutical rep, if you know someone who is a pharmaceutical rep, or in any type of medical sales, this is a great option. It is a great opportunity for them. It is a perfect fit truly for someone to either do alongside, to transition. A lot of people have even been displaced. And so when you are displaced, you're looking for something that you already have expertise about, but that you can be your own boss. So we are really incredibly excited. If you are a guest of someone or you are listening to this recording and maybe this has sparked some curiosity for you, the next step really to learn more is to go back with the person who sent you the video or the person who invited you onto this call tonight. Ask questions, take a little bit look, see if it aligns with your goals. We were never going to be the type of place or the type of company or team that says you absolutely should do this, but we're also sharing our experience, how we have aligned our values and how we can serve people, but we can serve the direct patient. We can connect them with a future forward looking health system through the look of peptides and sexual health products and weight loss products and hormones coming this year. So we're so excited with that. At the end of the day, this opportunity truly rewards whether it's a pharmaceutical rep, whether it is a mom, whether it is a dad, and anyone, it rewards them not only in the greatness of health, but it also rewards them in the greatness of financial opportunity. So thank you all for listening. I'm going to stop the recording and then we'll open it up for some questions.